Hi guys, I'm excited to let you know about a new fragrance from the house of Lumari that just launched called AOMAK, this one right here. And I want to let you know all about this new fragrance, and it comes in a new bottle as well. I have my favorite fragrances from this house that used to be in older bottles that you can see here. PORTHOLE, a favorite of mine. ALMERIA, a favorite of mine. They have redone or rebranded the house with new bottles. We've got PORTHOLE and ALMERIA here. And again, the latest fragrance is AOMAK. I'm going to tell you all about it and also give you a ranking of the entire collection of 6 fragrances. So I introduced the brand back in 2021. And instantly at that time, from the entire collection, my favorite fragrance turned out to be ALMERIA. I really loved it. It's a woody spicy with some gourmand touches, but I wouldn't necessarily call the fragrance super gourmand. It's quite woody, it's quite spicy, a bit smoky, but there's almonds and caramel and vanilla thrown in. But I feel like the other notes kind of dominate. So that has turned out to be a favorite fragrance of mine. We featured it in a Scent Club kit. In fact, it was number 2 Scent Club kit. So let me know if you got yourself the Scent Club kit number 2 and what your thoughts are on ALMERIA. So in 22, the brand launched PORTHOLE, and I think PORTHOLE kind of put them on the map. We ended up featuring PORTHOLE in 2023 in the summer, and I think the brand sold out several times. A lot of you guys were asking us at Scent Club and me if I knew where to buy it and all that good stuff, so they brought it back. And then I think the brand kind of quietly went quiet for a while to do the rebranding, and now they have launched the new bottles. I'm excited for it because PORTHOLE and ALMERIA are 2 favorite fragrances of mine. I absolutely love these fragrances. In fact, the fragrances, ALMERIA created by Amélie Bourgeois of Flair, and PORTHOLE created by Camille Chamardin of Flair as well. But the latest fragrance that I'm going to talk to you about today, AOMAK, is created by Christian Provenzano. So AOMAK, I would call this a citrus woody or citrus aromatic fragrance, but it's got a lot of spice as well. It's extrait de parfum concentration at 27%, and as I said, created by Christian Provenzano over at CPL Aromas. If you guys are in the market for any of these fragrances, including the new one, AOMAK, there is a discount code for 10% off in the info box. It's PERFGUY10. So AOMAK, I got to sample in France, and it was so hot there, I was enjoying wearing it. It's featuring notes of bitter orange, Sicilian mandarin, cardamom, sage, fresh ginger, mojito fusion, and mint for top notes. Heart notes features notes of helichrysum, which is immortelle, jasmine sambac, neroli, Moroccan rose, and timut pepper. Finally, in the base notes, we've got sandalwave, patchouli, vetiver, moss, amber, and aromalide. So you might be thinking, what is sandalwave and what is aromalide? So those are 2 proprietary ingredients over at CPL Aromas, and I wrote down the notes of what exactly they are. So you kind of want to know and hear what these notes are to give you an idea of what the fragrance is. Sandalwave kind of gives it away. It's sandalwood. Sandalwave is a revolutionary sandalwood-like material that brings a modern, refined twist to the classic woody note with its creamy, rich sandalwood scent and subtle powdery rose facet. Sandalwood introduces a freshness that is rarely found in traditional sandalwood materials. This versatile ingredient enhances both masculine and feminine fragrances, offering volume and depth while maintaining a clean and sophisticated profile. The unique combination of rose, greenness, and creaminess make it stand out in the market, providing a refreshing alternative to conventional sandalwood materials. So that is Sandalwave. It's a trademarked ingredient from CPL Aromas. Remember, this is a Christian Provenzano perfume or creation, and Christian Provenzano works at CPL Aromas, and I got to visit CPL Aromas in Paris and worked with Julien Rascanet for the creation of my fragrance with him, Juice Boxes 54. So then we've got Aromalide, which is also another CPL Aromas proprietary ingredient. It says Aromalide is a unique musk material that combines the best of fruity and floral notes, offering a pear-like freshness with smooth ambrette undertones. It provides excellent performance in both personal care and fine fragrances, with the ability to enhance fruity top notes without overwhelming the composition. Aromalide adds volume, richness, and a skin-like warmth that supports sweet, juicy, and floral notes. Its versatility and ability to improve headspace impressions and add depth to the fragrance heart make it a key player in modern perfumery. Both ingredients are trademark, so they're proprietary to CPL Aromas, and they were used in the creation of the latest fragrance from Lumari called AOMAK, and they were both used in the base notes. So these are what you experience in the base notes. So what's AOMAK all about? I'm sure you guys are anticipating hearing about it. So first off, it's a citrusy fragrance for me. It's very clean. There are a lot of soapy elements here. It's very refreshing, and it's also ice cold. There's very ice cold elements here as well. So when I was wearing it and testing it out in Paris, I liked it hitting my body and cooling it off because my body was very warm. On initial spray, you're experiencing a lot of the citruses, but at this time also you're experiencing aromatics. The mint is pretty prominent here. You notice it, but it's nicely blended with the citruses. I almost thought that when I was first wearing it without, noticing the notes, I thought there might be something like juniper here, but I feel like it's the mint that's giving me the coolness, and hitting it with the citruses or combining those notes with the citruses, it creates a very ice cold experience. So in the heart notes, you are experiencing some floral touches, but I feel like for me, the fragrance is mostly about the top notes and the base notes. The base notes, it's where the fragrance settles. And of course, up top, you've got the aromatics and spices with all those juicy citruses. Then this is when you're experiencing the ice cold effect of the fragrance. It's super, super ice cold. And there's a sharpness about it, a crispness about it, a metallic touch about it. But for me, I felt like the heart was not as prominent as what you experience in the top and the base notes. And of course, the fragrance settles to a very woody, earthy base. And so the whole entire experience is quite awesome, really, really lovely, and very, very invigorating and refreshing. So the fragrance also has very long-lasting qualities. It has great longevity. But for me, I don't consider it to be a room filler, if that makes sense. Now, in the heat, this thing goes on and on and on because it's so intense. It's an extrait de parfum at 27% concentration, but it's not like a room filler is what I'm trying to say, because in the end, it's a fresh fragrance. It's a citrus fragrance. It's citrus and woody, also citrus and aromatic, and citrus and spicy. So a lot of these elements are what's standing out for me. But again, very soapy clean, which was perfect during the hot, humid wearing experiences that I was, wearing this fragrance. Here I wore it in San Francisco several times as well. And I really got the crispness, the sharp metallic ice cold effect, and also the soapy qualities, but I quite enjoyed it more when it was hotter. And I feel like this fragrance is perfect for hot temps, hot, humid temps. And it's a citrus after all. It's clean, it's ice cold, it's fresh, and I think it'll satisfy the person looking for a brand new, fresh fragrance to wear, an ice cold, citrus, aromatic, woody, spicy kind of a fragrance. So those are my thoughts with this. Again, I said it's long lasting because it is. That's what I experienced. But I wouldn't call this a room filler. It doesn't have that big projection qualities. I mean, it projects, don't get me wrong, it does, but it's not thick when it's projecting. You know what I mean? Since some fragrances, like ALMERIA, it's so dense, you experience the denseness. Even Lumari's PORTHOLE is dense as well. But for me, since this AOMAK is super fresh, it's not wearing like that. But for me, it lasted a long time, which is great. And in the heat, it totally came alive, which is also great. Which sometimes when it's really hot outside, you don't want those thick, dense fragrances. You want them to last. You want it to smell it on you, but you don't want to, you don't want to be overwhelmed. Again, I don't have a problem with those kind of fragrances, but some of you are the types that wear, fragrances seasonally, and you want your fresh ones in the heat. You want your, intense ones in in the winter time when it's cold outside. So those are my thoughts on AOMAK. As I said, it is now selling. I have a link to the Lumari website, and there's a discount code there. So let me tell you a little bit about the rest of the collection as well, and I'll let you know where the fragrances end up in the ranking. All right, I'm going to do this ranking in a way where you're going to know my number one right off the bat. So my number one fragrance from this house obviously is PORTHOLE. It's a favorite of mine. Really love the way it smells. Been a big fan of it since its launch. I'm happy that they launched something like this. It's universally loved. I would categorize this, if you're not familiar with Porthole, and maybe you're familiar with Wave Child, it's kind of in that same ballpark, I think, but totally smelling different, but still kind of fruity. What I like about this is the sea salt that's mixed in here with the bergamot and the pineapple and passion fruit. So it's fruity, and there's some light gourmandy elements in there, like caramel, to add some, you know, kind of sticky sweetness to it. But in the end, it kind of acts a bit like a marine fragrance, but there's no marine notes here. It's just the sea salt that's actually kind of taking the fragrance into that kind of a direction. Again, I featured this fragrance in a scent club in 2023 in the summer. I love the way it smells. So awesome. The fruitiness, the juiciness, the saltiness, the spiciness together. It's a really, really awesome fragrance. Let me know if you are a fan of Porthole and why do you love it. And let me know if you're not a fan of Porthole, why do you not like it? Add a comment below. But my number 2 favorite fragrance is ALMERIA. These two are my favorites, number 1 and number 2. You'll find out number 3 in a minute. And what I like about this one, it's just super intense, you know? Almonds, tobacco, vanilla, super smoky, woody, spicy. I feel like when I also wear this one, I really, really smell the DNA of Emily Bourgeois' fragrances. When I first reviewed this fragrance back in 2021, I was not too familiar with her as a perfumer or as a perfumer having a certain DNA. Now that I have, you know, smelled a lot of fragrances that she's created, her DNA is all over this fragrance. And if you like the fragrances that you know she's created, like for example Vanille Supermassive from the house of Les Eaux Primordiales, you'll probably like this one. But this is less vanillic, it's more masculine and intense and woody and spicy and tobacco-ish, and also dry. It doesn't have that kind of syrupy sweetness, and you're really gonna like this one. But ALMERIA, again, was also featured as a kit, as a fragrance in a kit. It was in the second kit, which was in 2022, I believe. Yeah, that's when we featured that. But a great fragrance and really super awesome ALMERIA. So number 1, Porthole. Number 2, ALMERIA. And so number 3 is AOMAK. Yeah, AOMAK. I like it. For me, I like how it gives me that sharp cold effect, the metallic iciness, but also the soapiness. There's a lot of citruses and floral notes in this, and so you're getting that effect. But if you caught my video yesterday talking about fresh fragrances, and in that video I spoke about soapy fragrances and how citrus floral notes act like soapy or smell like soapy fragrances and things like that. Here, I feel like it's whatever notes they're using in addition to the citruses and the floral notes that are in here as well. The combination gives me that kind of an effect. But it's a cooling fragrance, and it's a great fresh fragrance. And I'm a fan of Christian Provenzano's fragrances. He did a great job here. I haven't smelled anything like this that he's done, so it's also a breath of fresh air. He tends to do a lot of Middle Eastern style fragrances, so this one to me comes off unique, even though, you know, I've smelled a lot of fresh fragrances. And for me, this one coming from him is definitely a winner. So AOMAK is my number 3 favorite fragrance from the house. And then number 4 is MAYDAN. So MAYDAN we actually featured in a mystery box. Let me know if you've sampled this one. This one is a fruity, woody, spicy fragrance. It gives me slight, you know, holiday touches. It also gives me a little bit of a Middle Eastern styling as well, which for me is kind of fun here. But for me, takes me to an autumn direction totally. Once again, it's spicy, it's dry. So dry fragrances sometimes that are woody and spicy remind me of autumn, especially if they also have some warmth in there and things like that. So this has cinnamon. So the cinnamon and apples kind of sort of give me that kind of an effect. But for me, the cinnamon and apples are there, but a lot of the other notes are also kind of prominent in there. So it's sweet, but it's a lot less sweet than other fragrances. And for me, I think the most gourmand that I've spoken about so far is probably Porthole, but I wouldn't really necessarily call that a gourmand. But MAYDAN, actually, it's grown on me more and more. It wasn't like when I first smelled it, it wasn't a love at first sniff. Whereas Porthole and ALMERIA were love at first sniffs, but MAYDAN has grown on me, and I'm appreciating that a lot more. That's why it's here at number 4. So the next one is Noble CAVALE. Let me know if you guys are familiar with these fragrances. This is more of a citrus aromatic fragrance, and it's a really nice one. It's fresh, invigorating, clean, And I guess I would say kind of sort of in that ballpark of AOMAK. But this one to me is more woody than citrusy. But there's citrusy touches and a lot of aromatic touches as well. And super, super spicy. There's a vetiver here. So it's got the grassy, woody, earthy, characteristics, along with Cypress, which is giving us a lot of aromatic touches as well. I think Noble Caval, AOMAK, even MAYDAN, I think these fragrances kind of lean masculine. I think the most unisex would be Porthole so far with what I've spoken about. Even ALMERIA kind of leans on the masculine side for me. It's a lot of woods and spices, even though it's got the almonds and vanilla and caramel in there. So Noble Caval, if you like a citrus aromatic, woody, earthy, spicy, try Noble Caval. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the sixth one is Saija or Saya. And I would say Noble Caval and Saija are kind of tied. Cool colors, right? What do you guys think? And then Saja or Saya is also, I guess, nearing the unisex side. But I feel like the fragrances of this house are kind of leaning more masculine than other houses. I mean, even though this is a rose oud combo, it's super, super spicy and intense. And the rose is kind of jammy, but everything else around it is dry. So it's drying out the jamminess of the rose. But you do experience that contrast. But there's a lot of spices. There's fruits in here as well. And so I couldn't decide which would be my fifth favorite. Is it Saija or is it Noble Caval? But both of them are good. I think the whole house is great. There's really, really awesome fragrances here. That if you haven't discovered Lumari yet, it's time for you guys to discover. And remember, when I first did my video, the bottles looked like this, and that's no longer. They rebranded. I think the brand was kind of quiet for a good year almost, I think. So yeah, now they're back. And the latest fragrance is AOMAK. Let me know your thoughts on how that sounds, and let me know which one of the fragrances from this house is your favorite. And also keep in mind, there's a discount code. It's PERFGUY10, PerfGuy10, and that saves you 10% off. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video, please share it, and follow me on Instagram and Facebook so that you can find out more info on fragrances. Anyway, see you later. Bye-bye.